Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Dr. Alfred Kinsey's two books on male and female sexuality have, in fact, profoundly influenced American law and other law and morals around the world. We're going to be talking about that from an expert, Dr. Judith Reisman, who wrote the book Kinsey, Crimes and Consequence. I'm Matt Staver, Dean of Liberty University School of Law. Joining me is Matt Barber, also with Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action and Associate Dean of the Law School. Welcome, Dr. Reisman, to our program.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
And you are now a visiting professor at Liberty University School of Law, and we're pleased to have you as part of our faculty team. And you have written a book, among other things, called Kinsey, Crimes and Consequences, which Matt Barber uses as a textbook in his book at the law school called Sexual Behavior in the Law.
In my class, Sexual Behavior in the Law, that's right. And Dr. Reisman has guest lectured for my class, which the students really appreciated. The information you provide, Dr. Reisman, in your book, Kinsey, Crimes and Consequences, is absolutely invaluable. Everyone should read it. In the book, you talk about that there is a pre-Kinsey and a post-Kinsey. Can you quickly tell our listeners who was Alfred Kinsey and why is there a pre- and a post-Kinsey?
Well, it wasn't just me. As you know, certainly I'm talking about the National Research Council, a major book that came out of the National Research Council, which is a very liberal group. And in that book on AIDS, they discuss the fact that we can divide human sexuality into two sections. There's the pre-Kinsey and the post-Kinsey world. And the pre-Kinsey world, it was supposedly the repressed, uptight one, which we now know is the one that had the very low rates of venereal disease and had every major sexual life was healthier by far. And the post-Kinsey, which was when Planned Parenthood, SICUS, all these other organizations, that's the Sex Information Education Council, following Kinsey, were part of the creation of this whole new, quote, field of human sexuality. And there they went into the schools and they began to introduce a whole new way of looking at sex, quoting from the Model Penal Code, the American Law Institute Model Penal Code, and claiming that science now has displaced the common law, that science has displaced the Judeo-Christian belief system that was the law. And this science is based on Kinsey, and we have to then recognize that and change our laws.
Let's go back to Kinsey. He wrote two books, one on male, one on female sexuality. Give us the dates and why were they so profoundly impactful on society?
Yes, well, 1948 was the sexual behavior in the human male. That's just really not even 3 years in a way after World War II has ended. The last book I just did was called Sexual Sabotage, and in that book I go into a lot more why 1948 was such a critical time. Our people had just come back from the war. They were struggling to get on their feet.
Tom Brokaw calls that the greatest generation.
That's right, Tom. I give him enormous credit for giving the appropriate credit to that generation that saved the world from Axis domination. So Kinsey comes along with this book. The average guy is trying to survive. He's trying to find his wife and his children again, fix the farm, get a job, get an education, and didn't take Kinsey seriously. But the professors did. The professors in our schools, in our universities, they did.
So he comes out with this book, the first one on human sexuality in the male.
Right.
And this was about 3.5 years after the World War II.
Yeah.
What was so profound in that book and shocking in that book that ultimately transformed the landscape before we get to the second book?
Well, one of the things, of course, Kinsey said in that first book was that the most important thing he said was that mom and dad and grandpa and grandma, everybody, they were all having sex with everybody in the world, and they were just a bunch of hypocrites. They would pretend that they were upright Christians and Jews and so forth, but not at all. That 95% of our male population would be in jail if the laws were enacted appropriately. That 10 to 37% of our male population population were involved in homosexual activity, and it was all harmless. Everything was harmless.
10 to 37%?
10 to 37%. It's in all the Law Review Journal articles that I've been looking at even just recently. They're still quoting the 10 to 37%.
So when those two things, that most people were having sex outside of marriage.
Adultery is common.
Adultery was common, and that there's this huge male population of homosexuals. Those are just two things that he presented based upon, quote, research, statistics. Now, we can get to the validity or better, the invalidity of those stats. But when that hits the market now, and the impression is that everyone is having sex outside of marriage. It's a common thing.
Absolutely. And harmless.
And harmless. And in fact, it's even good. And there's a lot of homosexuality going on. Then the individual who is thinking, well, I don't act like that, they're thinking they're the person out of step with society.
Right. They're the strange one. They're the uptight one. They're the repressed one. They're the hangovers from the old days. They're not really with it. The other big thing, of course, was that he said that all children are sexual from birth.
And let's move then to his next book, because there's something I think that you say about that. His next book comes out when?
1953. Actually, the same time that Playboy comes out with its first issue.
We'll talk about that, because we're going to talk to Dr. Reisman through the rest of this week. It's a lot of material to cover. But the next one comes out in 1953, and this is about sexual behavior in females. Now, one of the things that it says there is that these women, like the men, are also sexually promiscuous. I mean, if the men are sexually promiscuous, then the women have to be sexually promiscuous. What's the percentage there?
Well, he's talking about 50% of our males having sex, adulterous sex, and he says that 27% of our wives are having adulterous sex. He says that most of our people, of our girls, are having sex prior to marriage, and this was baloney, but I won't go into that. Most females are having sex prior to marriage, and he says that abortion is common. That 20-some% of our wives are having abortions, all right, and 83%
of wives are having abortions.
Yeah, wives,
and 83% of women are actually having abortions.
Right, let's
pause just for a moment.
Of the pregnant single women are having abortions.
83%. Let's pause just for that one statistic that he presented. That is a absolute mind-boggling, staggering figure today. And back then, you're talking about in the early 50s.
When abortion was illegal.
Abortion was criminal. Yeah. Oh, my goodness, it was criminal.
And 83% of women who are getting pregnant are allegedly having abortions.
No harm. And no harm. And by the way, that comes up in Roe v. Wade because Douglas is quoting Kinsey in Roe v. Wade. So
his research, just for lack of a better word, is just fraudulent.
Oh, come on. Listen, he said he interviewed thousands of women. He said out of 4,441 women, he had no history of anybody ever really having a problem with being raped. Now, okay, now look, I'm the first person to tell you things were better pre-Kinsey. I will tell you that for women and children. But to say that you interviewed 4,441 women and not one female has ever been harmed by a rape, are you kidding? Well, that guts our rape laws, by the way.
So then you take that idea that rape is not harmful, that actually women who are raped enjoy being raped. Right. Why would you then want to criminalize rape?
Exactly.
And therefore it leads to the decriminalization of certain sexual deviant behavior activities.
And you're not believing the women when the woman would come in. See, in the old days, if a woman was raped, in all honesty, she was damaged. She was damaged goods. It's true. And so then when you're saying that it is so common, then that girl says, I have been raped. She gets on the stand where judges always used to go along with that rape with her and believe her. Now they're saying, oh, no, she's just lying.
Matt, we've got a lot to talk about in the next couple of days, but I know you teach this particular course at Liberty University School of Law, and you use her book and also the video, the documentary, The Kinsey Syndrome.
Yes, Kinsey Syndrome, and I would suggest that people get a hold of this. It's available for $19.95 at Kinsey Syndrome, KINSEY syndrome.com. You can order it right off of there.
Give us a call at 1-800-671-1776 or go to our website at lc.org. Dr. Reisman's newest book is Sexual Sabotage, published by WorldNet Daily, and we have that available for you here at Liberty Counsel. You can call and order that as well. That 1-800-671-1776 is the number, or you can send us an email by going to lc.org. Also, text us to 20222. That's 20222. And in the subject line, put down LC for Liberty Counsel. That'll give a $10 contribution to Liberty Counsel. You can also go to facebook.com/Liberty Counsel, SEL for Counsel, to like our Facebook fan page. For more information, call us at 1-800-671-1776. You can also order my book, Take Back America. I think it's time to take back America. You'll want to be joining us for the rest of this week with Dr. Judith Reisman.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.